Hey, everybody. Welcome to True Crime Thursday with your host, me, Feminine and Fierce. How's everybody doing? Hey, yeah, hit that like button on your way in. I just sent out the text alert, so hopefully people will start getting it and tuning in. I sent it out a little late. My bad. Thank you, Sherry. Appreciate you guys. How's everybody doing? I hope you've had a great Thursday, a great week so far. We're almost to the weekend. Although those who work weekend, that doesn't really matter. But for those people who work Monday through Friday, we're almost there. Hey, Lita. Hey, Becky. Hey, Kimma. Hey, Teresa. Hey, Victoria. Hey, Mama. Hey, Kenyatta. Hey, Rhonda. What's up, fellow crime junkies? I know that's right. Oh, that's right. If you weren't here, if you only tune in for the True Crime Lives and you weren't here for my other lives, I did do an update on the story that we covered last week with the autistic teen who was shot by police. He did sadly pass away. Yes, Sandy. I was live yesterday. I wasn't live last night. I did like an early live yesterday. So if you missed it, it's definitely it's up on the YouTube. Hey, Marie, are you obsessed with me, girl? I am, Tanya. Yeah, I didn't come live last night because if you guys didn't know, I got into a wreck. Somebody pulled out in front of me on Tuesday, and I didn't go to the hospital. I should have went to the hospital that day, but last night my back, like it was like going down my leg, so I ended up going to the hospital, and I guess I pinched a nerve or something in my back. I don't know. I have to go follow up with another doctor. But yeah, so that was fun. So that's why I didn't come back last night because I was in the ER last night. Yay. Hey, Donna, which you guys know, most of you know, anybody in the medical field usually, that is the loathe of my existence to be a patient. I do not want to ever be a patient. So it took a lot for me. It takes a lot for me to go. And everybody's like, you should have went Tuesday. I'm like, yeah, no, I didn't want to go. You were looking all over for me, Sandy? Yes, I'm right here. I'm right here. Hey, Victoria. And prayers for all the people affected by the recent school shootings. And it's just such a tragedy. They are, Linda. Thank you for asking. They are. Somebody said that there was another school shooting today. Let's see. FSU shooting. 2 passed away, 6 injured, 20-year-old suspect in custody. And then there was the shooting at the Wilmer Hutchins, where the suspect got around the metal detectors. So, yeah. No, Colette, it was from the wreck. It wasn't my heart. No. Knock on wood. I hope it never is. Yeah, Christine, you survived the cyclone. There was a sheriff's. Oh, at the FSU, was he a sheriff's son? Or are you talking about the Wilmer Hutchins school shooting, the Dallas shooting? Unknowingly helped Dallas school shooting suspect. A witness says he unknowingly helped the Dallas school shooting suspect get away. Oh, it says student who shot 4 at Dallas High School was targeting specific student. So he was targeting a specific student when he shot 4 people. Oh my goodness. The FSU shooting, 2 so far have passed away. Goodness. 5 injured, 2. Oh my goodness. 2 people were unalived and wounded in a mass shooting at FSU, and 5 injured. So prayers for everybody involved with all of that. Oh, it's so sad. Yeah, somebody pulled out in front of me on Tuesday. Yeah, I'm good, Colette. She pulled out in front. I was able to lock the brakes up and move to the left a little bit. She panicked and stopped once she saw me coming for her. Instead of continuing to go, she stopped. So I clipped her right at the back end of her car. If one of us had just moved a little bit to the left or right, but I was found no fault in the wreck. It wasn't my fault. There was nothing I could have done to avoid it. Because my car has a safety feature where it brakes on its own, but I had both feet on the brake. Like, I mean, I was trying. In my car, you could see my brake marks. Like, you could see where I braked. I have a picture of it, but you could see where you could see my tire marks where my tires literally were just locked up and just sliding. So yeah. Oh no, dealing with Mother Nature. I'm glad you're here, Darlene. Glad you're safe. Hey, everybody. Also, have you guys seen? I don't know if you guys saw this story that I posted about Nikki Love, who was missing from St. Louis. I don't know if you guys saw this story. A lot of people thought there was some foul. 2025. She is 20 years old. She was reported missing from South City, St. Louis. So I don't know if you guys watched this story I put on my Facebook, but Nikki Love, she was reported missing, and her boyfriend had said she's 20 years old, and her boyfriend had said that she had lost her phone the night before and that she didn't, she had to go to work. So she walked to work, left her phone. He said that he hears from her all the time, like on the hour, and that he had not heard from her for like 9 hours. So he reported her missing. A lot of people thought, okay, that's suspect, because what 20-year-old like doesn't look for their phone and goes to work without it and doesn't think about it, and then doesn't call him from work or anything like that. Well, there's been an update in the case, and Nikki was found safe. She has been found safe, and this is what one of the people had to say about it, which I was like, wow. So, but her boyfriend is the one that everybody thought he had something to do with it. Hopefully, kind of music. Sorry about the music. Okay. All right, now you can hear it while he's going. Okay.
Thank you for tuning in to the new Real STL News. Miss Nikki that was missing for the last couple of days, we just found her. From the looks of it, she was in this apartment building, and we're looking for a guy that apparently had her in this building right here. It's an old school, but it's a building, and he took off running, so we all looking for him. But Miss Nikki has been found. She was inside this building. So again, for everybody that was, all the prayer warriors, it helped. She's safe. She's with family now. We are riding around looking for the guy. Apparently that was with her. But yeah, we found her around the corner from her residence. It's a school. It was an old school, which they turned into apartment buildings. He took off running.
Hey,
we don't know which direction, but she is safe. But yeah, I just want to bring the news to everyone that was on their way to come help search for her. She is safe. She is safe. Again, I'm going to end this live.
Okay, so as you can see, he said that she was found safe, that she was in an apartment building that they found her in, and that the man took off running. Now, I haven't been able to see if they arrested him. Her real name is Nicole Merriweather. Let's see if I can find what this says here. So I'm not sure if they've arrested the suspect in that case, but she was found safe. So I did want to update you guys. If I find out anything else about the man that was allegedly holding her in that building, I will definitely let you guys know. Hey, OGC, you live in St. Louis? Yeah, I'm just glad she was found safe. I hate that she went through anything. She went missing. Her walk to work was about a 10-minute walk, and she never showed up for work. So between her between her home and her work, which was about a 10-minute walk, they think that she got picked up by this alleged man, and that he held her at this apartment complex, and they were able to find her. So she's very lucky, very lucky. So I'm hoping that they no, Dawn, that was not her boyfriend. It was a different man. They're thinking that he picked her up on the way to work when she was walking. And of course, because she had lost her cell phone, which happened to be, a lot of people thought, congratulations, OMW. She said, I wonder who will see this. Connie and the Outlaws. It's a boy, due date September 25th, but a C section is on the 18th. My daughter's birthday is September 20th. So, congratulations, a little boy. I can't wait. If you tell us the name, let us know the name if you're going to tell people. But congratulations. That is awesome. And we all see it, girl. A little baby outlaw. Congratulations. But yeah, so they think that he may have picked her up on the way to work. And the most unfortunate part about this was that the one thing that people thought made her boyfriend seem like suspect was the whole thing about her cell phone. And everybody was like, what 20-year-old doesn't think about their cell phone or doesn't want to find their cell phone before they go to work? And that was sadly her not having her cell phone. She had no way to call for help. She had, they had no way to track her or anything because unfortunately she just happened to go to work that day without a cell phone. My birthday is September 13th, hopefully a Virgo. Yeah, Virgo if it's the 18th. Well, depending where you live. Yeah, she said they said 10-minute walk, but they said she worked at Ross. So I wanted to update you guys in that case because I had shared that. And today we are going to be talking about a new case. Let me share this so we can start it out. Also, no spoilers. I know you guys, it's hard for y'all. I know it's hard. I know it's hard sometimes for you guys, but no spoilers. If you know the case and you know everything about it, please don't spoil it for other people because they want to hear about it too, There is 10 of you guys over on Facebook. I am going to try to leave the Facebook on just because I know some people like to be over there and watch it from Facebook. They prefer it that way, and I can still see your comments and everything. So we do have a few people over there tuning in from Facebook. So hey, Facebook. All right. So, and I will be back later for some malarkey. All right, here we go. Yeah, there's always somebody that spoils it. Or they'll come in. Usually it's somebody who comes in like in the middle and they'll be like, "Oh, I know this case." But I love the enthusiasm. You're welcome, Lakita. I know. My OGs are in here like, "Don't spoil it." All right. Here we go. Welcome to True Crime Tuesday with your host, me, Feminine and Fierce. This is the sad, tragic case of Miranda Corsette, who was only 16 years old when she ran away with a man she met online, only to be kidnapped, tortured, and unalived over allegedly a piece of jewelry that they could not find. This surveillance video that you're watching right now is allegedly believed to have been the male suspect in this case, 35-year-old Stephen Gress, who allegedly did this to Miranda Corsette with his partner, 37-year-old Michelle Brands, who has also been charged in this case.
35-year-old Stephen Gress is facing numerous charges, including kidnapping and first-degree murder. Officers say he met 16-year-old Miranda Corsette through a social media app on February 14th. She was then reported missing 10 days later.
On Valentine's Day 2025, 16-year-old Miranda Corsette, a troubled young mom, left home to meet a man she'd found on a dating app. Just days later, she was tortured, killed, and dumped in a dumpster. Her body still missing today. The two people behind it, Stephen Gress and Michelle Brandes, didn't run from what they did. They got caught trying to hide it. At first, it looked like a heartless crime. But as the story unraveled, Miranda's desperate life painted a picture that's hard to shake. Gulfport, Florida, February 2025. It's a small, sleepy town by the water. Think palm trees, quiet streets, a place where folks know each other. That's where 16-year-old Miranda Corsette was living, crashing with her grandmother in a little house that held more heartache than you'd guess. Miranda's mom and dad, They were gone, passed away, leaving her behind way too young. And her life, it was a mess, tangled up in ways that'd break your heart. She'd been fighting mental health stuff for years, dark days, heavy thoughts, the kind of struggles that don't just go away. Then there was the drugs, slipping in and out of using, trying to numb whatever hurt inside. Oh, and get this, she was a mom too. Her baby was just 11 months old, a little one she was raising all on her own. Miranda didn't go to regular school. She was homeschooled, cut off from friends, stuck in her own world. People around town knew her as the girl who'd run. She'd take off all the time, disappearing for days, chasing something, maybe freedom, maybe just a break. Her grandmother did her best, loved her to pieces, but keeping up, that was a losing battle. Miranda was restless, always looking for something to fill that empty space inside her. And then came Valentine's Day 2025. She reached out, made a choice that sent her down a road she'd never come back from. But what started as a fleeting escape would soon turn into a nightmare no one saw coming. So here's where things take a turn. Meet Stephen Gress, 35 years old, living in St. Petersburg, just a 20-minute drive from Gulfport. This guy wasn't exactly a stranger to trouble. He had a rap sheet, a history of bad choices, and a duplex that had soon turned into something straight out of a horror movie. His place was at 2708 27th Avenue North. Nothing fancy, just a rundown 2-unit house with peeling paint and a vibe that'd make you uneasy. On February 14th, 2025, Valentine's Day, Stephen's phone pinged. He'd been swiping on a dating app, and there was Miranda, 16 and looking for something, anything, to pull her out of her world. They started talking, and before long, he was in his car, heading to Gulfport. He pulled up to her grandmother's place, and Miranda climbed in. No fuss, no fight. She went with him. They drove back to his duplex, spent the whole day together. Maybe she felt noticed for once, like someone actually cared. Maybe she just felt free. That night, Stephen drove her home, dropped her off, and that could have been it. But it wasn't. The very next day, February 15th, Miranda made a choice. She went back to Stephen's place, on her own this time. She walked right into that duplex again, drawn to him for reasons we'll never fully know. And waiting there was Michelle Brandes, 37, Stephen's live-in girlfriend. Michelle wasn't some sweet sidekick. She had her own sharp edges, a hardness that matched Stephen's. For a few days, the three of them were under that roof together. Miranda, Stephen, Michelle. An odd little group, sure, but it didn't seem dangerous. Not yet. For a few days, it seemed like an odd but stable trio, until a single missing ring changed everything. Let's jump to February 20th, 2025. Inside that duplex at 2708 27th Avenue North, things were falling apart. The air felt heavy, like you could feel the trouble brewing. It all started over something so small, a ring. Not some priceless jewel, just a little thing that went missing. To you or me, it'd be no big deal, right? But to Stephen Gress and Michelle Brandes, it was like Miranda had crossed a line they couldn't forgive. They turned on her, hard. They pointed fingers and said she stole it, called her a thief, right to her face. What happened next wasn't just a fight. It was pure hell. They didn't let her leave. Miranda was trapped, stuck in that house with them for 4 straight days, from February 20th to 24th. They didn't just yell or shove her. They beat her, bad, punched her, kicked her, whatever it took to break her down. And it got worse. Police reports later said they went way beyond that. They grabbed a billiard ball, one of those hard, heavy ones from a pool table, and forced it into her mouth. Then they took plastic wrap, the kind you'd use for leftovers, and wrapped it tight around her face. She couldn't breathe, couldn't scream, couldn't fight back. For 4 days, they tortured her like that, until sometime in that stretch, Miranda Corsette stopped breathing for good. A 16-year-old girl, a mom to a little baby, gone. Just like that. Over a ring. It's the kind of thing that makes your stomach turn, makes you mad enough to yell. But here's the kicker. Her grandmother didn't even know, because Miranda ran away so often. Disappearing was normal for her. So, what happened when she didn't come back? Okay, let's pick up on February 24th, 2025. Miranda's grandmother was worried sick by now. Miranda had been gone before,
Finally
sure,
made a police
but this
report.
time felt off. Too long, too quiet. So she finally picked up the phone and called.
So she had last seen her on February the 15th. And because she was a known runaway and would run away for a few days and come back, she did not report her missing until February 24th, 9 days later. So they allege that her first interaction with him was the 14th, and then she went back on her own the 15th because he dropped her back off at the house. So on the 15th, I just feel like it's just sad because I feel like had she reported her prior to that, maybe she'd still be here.
Called the Gulfport police. Problem was, it was already way too late. While she was dialing, Stephen Gress and Michelle Brandis were busy making sure no one would ever find Miranda. They didn't waste time. Miranda was dead, and they had a body to deal with. So they grabbed her. Imagine this. A 16-year-old girl, limp and lifeless, and shoved her into a car. They hit the road, driving about 15
the
miles
Swaylo
from
video.
St. Pete to Largo, pulling up to a house at 12,243 Mallory Drive. That place belonged to Michelle's mom. What went down there? It's grim.
Crazy.
Detectives later found signs they'd cut her up, dismembered
not
her
this
right
story,
there,
Dawn.
probably with whatever tools they
Atlanta
could
story.
grab. Bloodstains, maybe a saw, the kind of stuff that'd make you shudder just thinking about it. But they weren't done. They loaded what was left of Miranda back into the car and kept driving, this time to Ruskin, a good 30 miles south in Hillsborough County. They rolled up to a dumpster
Hey, Tina
at
Bina.
2893 14th Avenue Southeast, just some random spot behind a strip mall or something. And that's where they dumped her. Like she was nothing, like trash you toss and forget. Investigators figure her remains got picked up, hauled off to a landfill somewhere, buried under piles of garbage. As of March 10th,
Yeah, Dawn.
2025, she's still out there, lost in that mess. No grave, no goodbye. Gress and Brandeis thought they'd covered their tracks. But how did police even start to unravel this? The answer came from an unexpected source. Let's fast forward to March 5th, 2025. Stephen Gress was already locked up, sitting in Pinellas County Jail. He wasn't there for Miranda, not yet. He'd gotten himself nabbed for something else entirely, pointing a harpoon at Michelle Brandis during some crazy fight. Yeah, a harpoon, like he was out to spear a shark or something. Plus, cops found meth and weed on him, so he was stuck behind bars, probably thinking he'd just ride out those charges. But then, everything shifted. On March 6th, someone walked into the picture who'd blow this whole thing wide open. A witness. Nobody knows who yet. Maybe a neighbor, maybe someone who'd overheard too much, came to the St. Pete police with a tip that sent chills down their spines. They said there'd been a kidnapping, a murder, and it wasn't just talk. They had enough to point fingers. The cops started digging, and all those little threads
He had been
led
bragging
straight back
about
to
it.
Miranda Corsette. That girl who'd
Sad.
been missing since February. She wasn't just gone, she was dead, and Gress was in the middle of it. By the end of that day, they slapped him with kidnapping and first-degree murder charges. Boom! Just like that. He went from small-time trouble to facing life in prison. Michelle Brandis, though, she was still out there, walking free, probably hoping the heat would die down. Gress might have been caught, but she wasn't. Slipped right through the cracks, while the police were tying him to Miranda. The St. Pete cops weren't about to let that slide. Their chief was about to make a move, a bold one, that'd turn this whole chase upside down. Would Brandy stay on the run, or face the music? Okay, let's move to March 7th, 2025. Things were heating up fast. St. Pete Police Chief Anthony Holloway stepped up to
Hey,
a podium, lights flashing, cameras rolling, and he wasn't messing around. He looked straight into the lens and said, "Michelle, if you're out there, we will find you." It was like something out of a movie. Calm, but dead serious. He wasn't begging, he was promising. The heat was on, and Brandes had to feel it. Gress was already locked up, but Michelle? She'd been dodging the cops for days, hiding out somewhere, maybe thinking she could wait this out. That press conference changed the game. Holloway made it clear there was no running from this. And guess what? It worked. The very next day, March 8th, Michelle Brandes walked into a police station. Hands up, game over. She didn't fight, didn't argue, just turned herself in.
Oh, wow,
The
Dawn.
cops didn't waste a second. Slapped her with first-degree murder charges right there. Just like that, she was hauled off to Pinellas County
Exactly,
Jail,
Portia.
same as Gress.
Wait till you hear what
And
the
neither
cops
of them were
said.
getting out anytime soon. No bond, no chance to slip away. 2 suspects, 2 cells, 1 brutal crime. Over on Gress's
I
side,
agree.
his public defender stepped in, trying to fight back. They entered a not guilty plea for him, said he didn't do it,
Yep.
even with his name
They
all over
both
this
entered
mess.
not guilty.
But here's the thing. The evidence was piling up like a stack of bricks. Witnesses, police reports, that trail from the duplex to the dumpster. It was all pointing one way, and it wasn't looking good for either of them. Justice was rolling now, full speed ahead. The suspects were caught. But would Miranda's body ever be found? Now let's bring it to March 11th, 2025. Gress and Brandes are locked up, but this story's far from over. Police from all over, Gulfport, Largo, Pinellas County, they're still out there, working together, trying to find what's left of Miranda. They've got teams digging into that dumpster trail, following it from Ruskin to whatever landfill
Blonde.
it ended up in. Picture it.
Me.
Cops and workers sifting through mountains of stinking trash, looking
The
for
brown-haired
anything.
girl is a little
Piece
girl.
of clothing, a bone, just something to bring her back. They want to give her a proper burial, something her grandmother can hold on to, something to say she mattered.
Ugh.
Chief Holloway's still leading the charge. He stood
Oh, no,
up
not at all,
again,
CP.
called this a horrific crime, his words, not mine, and promised they'd keep pushing.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to update you on the case of Miranda Corsette, the missing juvenile went missing on February the 24th. I am going to outline the timeline for you, but I want to remind you that this is an ongoing investigation. So as law enforcement continue to investigation, things could change at any moment. So here's the timeline how it first started. So yesterday afternoon, we had a witness that came in and said she wanted to provide us information on the missing juvenile from Gulfport. Based on the tips and investigation by the detective, we believe that 16-year-old Miranda Corsette was contacted by 35-year-old Stephen Gress on a social media app. And I'm going to stop there for one moment and just want to remind all the parents out there, please,
That part.
please, I'm begging you, please, make sure you know what your kids are doing on social media. And to the kids also, if someone is contacting you and are not a family member, please let your parents know. So again, we're talking about
Amen.
a 16-year-old that was contacted by a 35-year-old. On February the 14th, we know that Mr. Gress went to Miranda's home, picked her up, took her to his house, which is located at 2708 27th Avenue North. He took her to the house. She spent the day there. We know he took her back on the 24th. On the 15th of February, we know she went back to the house on her own. Now, on the 20th, at the house, there was some type of dispute over some missing jewelry. So from the 20th to the 24th, she was beaten and tortured because they could not find this piece of jewelry. We know that sometime there, she was then killed. Mr. Gress placed her body in his car along with his domestic partner, Michelle Brandes, and they drove her to Largo. In Largo, the detectives found evidence that Miranda was dismembered at that location. They then placed her in a car and they drove her down to Ruskin, where they dumped her into a dumpster, and her body is somewhere, possibly in a landfill somewhere in that county. Yesterday we realized that Mr. Gress was already in custody for pointing a harpoon at his domestic partner and possession of drugs. He is still in county jail as we speak today. We are now looking for Michelle Brandes. The picture's to my left and to your right. Michelle, if you're out there, we're trying to tell you to turn
She ended up
yourself
turning
in because
herself
we
in
will find you sooner or later.
the next
If
day.
anybody out there is trying to help Michelle, if we can, we will charge you with the charges we can charge you with. As of this point, Mr. Gress is being charged with kidnapping Miranda, and this, again, this is an active investigation. More charges are soon to follow. I want to thank the following agencies for helping us out: Gulfport, Largo, and Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, our state and federal partners. Again, this is a horrific crime. We are still investigating it. We want to ensure that we bring justice to Miranda. The investigators are looking at every piece of evidence that we can find. And again, I want to say we want to hold all responsible parties accountable. So with that, I'll open up for any questions. Both of her parents are deceased, and her grandmother at this time is not ready to talk to anyone.
Hi there, I'm Commander Mary Farron. I'm currently the acting chief of police for Gulfport.
Listen
We
to
are
what
very
this lady
familiar
says.
with Miranda. We know that she is a frequent runaway, and she has a history of mental health issues as well as drug abuse. The grandmother is her primary caregiver at this time, and she said that she normally comes home, so she doesn't report her missing every time she leaves. She just didn't come back in a timely manner this time.
Was it her grandmother that reported her missing then?
It was.
And any
This is currently happening now.
local schools noticing that she was absent for
This year.
10 days?
No, Miranda is actually homeschooled.
So the social media page they were on was a dating app. So we're assuming that they must have met on a date. She went there on the 14th. And then again, like I said, she came back around on the 15th.
Do you plan to file any additional charges against either of them related to sexual contact with a minor?
We're going to put every possible charge on everyone that was involved in this. And that's why, again, the defendant's already in jail on another charge. And again, I would reiterate to Michelle, come in.
We have new information about Stephen Gress. He is now charged with the murder of Miranda Corsette. They say that he lured Miranda through a dating app, and they're also looking for the woman that you see right here on your screen, Michelle Brandis, who could be connected to Miranda's death. 10 Tampa Bay's Asha Patel is staying on top of the very latest developments tonight.
She joins us live from outside Gress's home, where police say Miranda was killed. Asha?
Yeah, that's right. This home that you see right behind me, police say this is where 16-year-old Miranda Corsette was brutally beaten to death over a missing ring. Now, just moments ago, cops left, but we had been seeing them, but we did see them for the last several hours going in and out of the home. So let me give you a little timeline here. After Miranda was brutally beaten to death at this home, Stephen Gress then drove her body to a home in Largo. It was in that home where cops say Miranda's body was dismembered. Her remains then taken to a dumpster in Ruskin. Detectives say they located that dumpster, but tonight are still looking for Miranda's remains. Cops believe Miranda was killed sometime between February 20th and 24th. Stephen Gress was arrested a few days ago on unrelated charges, including pointing a harpoon at his partner, Michelle Brandis, and now he's being charged with first-degree murder. Tonight, police are also looking for Brandis because they believe she was present while Gress was driving Miranda's body. We spoke to neighbors nearby who told us they felt uneasy living next door to Gress.
Vicky. There was a lot of fighting always going on. Our landlord installed ring cameras for us, which we're very thankful for.
So the ring camera that the officer installed, which you can see on when they had, there's pictures of the home, you can see the little ring camera because it was a duplex, but it was like a tenant lived upstairs and then he lived downstairs. So you can see a window. There's windows pointing at the driveway, and you can see like a little ring camera in the window. And that's where that surveillance video came from at the beginning of this video, where you can see him carrying something in a blanket and he puts it in the trunk. That's where that surveillance video came from, was the landlord installed those little ring cameras in her apartment upstairs because she was so freaked out by all of everything that was going on with this man. And the reason he was arrested, again, they've said it a couple times, but if you didn't hear it, the reason he was actually arrested and went to jail was not this case. He went to jail a few days prior because he was chasing his partner which is also the co-defendant in this case. He was chasing Michelle around the driveway and the yard out there with a harpoon. So that's why he went to jail. And when they arrested him, he had 1.5 grams of marijuana and 13.5 grams of methadone on him. So he got those charges. Plus he got, I believe he got obstructing an officer. He got a bunch of charges because of that day. And there's also video of that in these clips.
That brought us a sense of safety, but definitely feeling safer now that he's off the streets. He was an intimidating fellow.
Right now, a Florida man is locked up and he's accused of killing a teenage girl after luring her to his home using an app. So let's get right over to Austin. He's at the alert desk with what you need to know, Austin.
And investigators say this 16-year-old was lured through an online dating app to meet a 37-year-old at his home in St. Petersburg.
He was actually 35.
His partner has also been arrested. So Stephen Gress had his first appearance in this Pinellas County courtroom over the weekend. The judge ordering Gress to be held without bond, and he has been assigned a public defender. Now, investigators say this 16-year-old Miranda Corsette was lured through social media to meet Gress. Now, we'll spare you some of the disturbing details, but police say she was beaten and dismembered. Now, Gress's partner, Michelle Brandis, is locked up as well after being implicated.
And which, sadly, because of this teen's history and because she was a frequent, and not that that makes a difference, I couldn't believe that the cops were even, which they were basically saying like, hey, we know her, she runs away all the time. They weren't really thinking that she was going to end up, I don't think they thought the outcome was going to be this, to be honest. And I believe that is what lured her to his house in a lot of ways, was probably the promise of those substances. I mean, he was 35. Michelle, the partner, was 37. And all of this allegedly happened because there was a ring that came up missing. Now, he bragged about it and everything, sent people pictures, told people about this. There was at least, they say, like 5 or 6 other people that knew she was being held, being tortured, and nobody did anything. In fact, a neighbor actually has come forward and said that she came over and was worried about the little girl because she was like sitting in the doorway, like she could see her in there, and you could tell she was visibly upset. And I guess she never called either. I don't know, but there was several people that knew this was going down at that house for those days. I mean, how could you not? I'm sure she was screaming and everything.
Implicated by him in this crime.
Duplex on 27th Avenue North in St. Pete after police say a 16-year-old girl was beaten and killed inside.
Guns drawn, police threw him down on the ground. Handcuffed him, put him in a cruiser. Ever since then, cops here 24/7 for 3 days.
All of what occurred was very, very, very disappointing to me because I never thought that this guy had the capabilities to allegedly do what they said he did.
Now they're still searching for her remains.
Unbelievable. I can't believe it. We would have never thought in a million years.
David Horton says Stephen Gress was a menace at this duplex on 27th Avenue North.
He was chasing the girl around, one of the girls down there with it, as you'll see on your video.
Get on the grid right now, last warning!
He shared this video from Wednesday showing police arresting Gress, accused of threatening Michelle Brandis with a harpoon. Brandis is now wanted in connection to the murder of Miranda Corsette.
On February the 14th, we know that Mr. Gress went to Miranda's home, picked her up, took her to his house.
She was in the house for about a week. That's
Ann.
when detectives say an argument over jewelry turned deadly.
From the 20th through the
Jewelry,
24th,
a ring.
she was beaten and tortured because they could not find this piece of jewelry. We know that sometime there, she was then killed.
They say Gress then went with Brandis to Largo and dismembered Miranda's body before driving to Ruskin in Hillsborough County to dump her.
Into a dumpster, and her body is somewhere, possibly in a landfill somewhere in that county.
I can't understand how somebody like that girl got mixed up with this guy at his age, you know, and what he was thinking, you know. Was arguing and fighting, yeah, they would do that.
David Horton owns the duplex where police say 16-year-old Miranda Corsette was held, beaten, and killed by Stephen Gress and Michelle Brandis.
She had called me, my tenant, and she says there's something going on down there.
He says there were numerous issues at the property, and the tenant living above the couple had called police.
Right, Kelsey?
We got those dispatch logs, which show that St. Petersburg police were called to the home 7 times since the beginning of the year. Those calls included general calls for an officer, domestic quarrels, a welfare check, domestic battery, and assault. The last call resulted in Stephen Gress getting arrested for a domestic incident. Police believe that Miranda was beaten and killed sometime between February 20th and 24th. An affidavit says that she died by suffocation, and police say Gress took her body to a home in Largo where he dismembered her.
Absolutely no clue, no idea in the world that it escalated to this.
A call for a welfare check at the duplex was made on the 25th. It's unclear right now what that welfare check entailed.
We had the police come out here and they went in there and they says, oh no, there's nothing wrong in that apartment. Well, they were dead wrong, I think, about that one.
Gress and Brandis are in jail on first-degree murder charges. Genevieve Curtis, Fox 13 News.
New tonight, we're learning more about this teenager who was held captive and tortured inside a St. Pete duplex. And new records reveal numerous people were aware of what was happening, but never called 911. As our Julie Solomon reports, prosecutors plan to seek the death penalty for 2 suspects accused of killing Miranda Corsette.
Newly released court documents detail how at least 6 people saw or knew 16-year-old Miranda Corsette was being held against her will and tortured inside a St. Petersburg duplex on 27th Avenue North. Yet no one called police.
This is a horrific crime. We are still investigating it. We want to ensure that we bring justice to Miranda. The investigators are looking at every piece of evidence.
35-year-old Stephen Gress and his domestic partner, Michelle Brandis, are now facing a first-degree murder charge for the teen's death. The investigation began in early March when a witness contacted police with information about a possible kidnapping and homicide involving a missing teen from Gulfport. A search warrant reveals that a woman who lived at the St. Pete duplex and once had a sexual relationship with Gress told police Gress had a ring that went missing. He was furious and called Brandis over to help get his ring back from Corsette. She also said Gress was abusive and would kill animals he got off Craigslist.
She was beaten and tortured because they could not find this piece of jewelry.
Court records reveal details surrounding how the teen died. Records say Gress told detectives Brandis took a ball from a pool table, put it in a sock, and shoved it down Corsette's throat, and then wrapped her face in plastic wrap. He said he told Brandis not to cover her nose, but she did. Once she died, Gress told detectives he went to a home in Largo with Brandis and another person where he used a chainsaw to dismember the teen's body. Police have not located her remains.
Miranda was dismembered at that location. They then placed her in a car and they drove her down to Ruskin where they dumped her into a dumpster.
Records say Gress told detectives that during the week he was torturing Corsette, he was sending photographs of what he was doing to several people. We asked the St. Petersburg Police Department if anyone else will face charges. A spokesperson tells us the investigation is ongoing.
Details shedding light on 5 new people who police say may have known the teen was being tortured before she was killed. From photographs to witnesses, we are now getting insight from an attorney in Tampa on what this could mean for the case moving forward.
Right now, Stephen Gress and Michelle Vega are in jail, accused of kidnapping, killing, and dismembering 16-year-old Miranda Corsette. This affidavit shows 5 people potentially knew what was happening leading up to her death. A woman living in Gress's apartment during the murder told investigators what she saw, from Corsette coming to their apartment to her body being horrifically thrown in a dumpster. The document also claims Gress told his neighbor he was beating Corsette and sent pictures of what he was doing to 3 other people. Police say in some of those photos, Corsette's condition was so bad, she was almost unrecognizable.
I was surprised at the number of people involved, the number of people having knowledge, and the number of people that may have actual tangible evidence to the crimes that happened.
We spoke with criminal defense attorney Shanna Bailey, who is unaffiliated with this case, to find out what all of this potential evidence could mean for the case.
To prove a charge at trial, you have to get up to the evidentiary burden beyond a reasonable doubt. And so there's a lot lot of disparity between even what you read in a search warrant and then what you have to get to at trial.
Bailey says the goal is to use the evidence to convince the jury beyond a reasonable doubt.
If you're able to paint that picture beyond a reasonable doubt, whether it's for or against the evidence for or against your client, and lead the jury to a conclusion that they can safely base in the evidence that was provided to them, then you will get a verdict in your favor.
Now the question remains, could any of the 5 people police say may have known the teen was being beaten before she was murdered face any charges moving forward?
As far as strict criminal liability, that will be a determination made by law enforcement based on what these people knew, when they knew it, and how they knew it.
St. Pete police say at this hour, Vega and Gress are the only ones facing charges in this case, but the investigation is ongoing.
Oh, awful. Okay. So these were just some of his charges. As you can see, him and his co-defendant both had lengthy records, all different types of things on their record. So I just was going through some of these. Now, these are the charges that he got the day he was arrested, plus they added, obviously, the charges for Miranda. But you can see here he got possession of controlled substance, possession of Mary Jane, obstructing or resisting an officer without violence. He also got kidnapping, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, murder in the first degree. This right here, this was just saying, this was the indictment when they indicted him. Let me see what it just is in the county that they're in. It says that he did, without lawful authority, forcibly or by threat, confine, abduct, or imprison Miranda against the will with the intent to inflict bodily harm, or did willfully torture or terrorize. So this is just his indictment for the grand jury. And then this one is where they have already put in a notice to seek the death penalty, and they've done that in both his case and his co-defendant's case, Michelle. So they are in a death penalty state. This is where he pled not guilty. Him and her both have pled not guilty in this case. So they're obviously going to fight it. They have not been able, as of yet, to find her remains. And I think that is why, you know, all of the, like the expert that you just heard from, they're saying that as long as they can convince the jury of all, with everything they have and all the evidence, even the video where you can see him visibly carrying something wrapped in a blanket out to the car. Plus now you have these people that were involved. And what's great about, not only did, I mean, obviously this is a tragic case, but that little Ring camera that they installed in that window to look at the driveway, obviously the cops have been there 7 times this year over different things. That little Ring camera is what has picked up, like the neighbor who came over, that's all on that Ring camera. So they know these people were there. And sadly, with what he was arrested with, again, I would assume he was either partying with several people or selling to several people. And that's how they figured out she was there, because they had to come over to the house to get said whatever. All right. This is, let's see what this one. This is the kidnapping, and it reads, it's the same thing I was saying. It says, it says the defendant and co-defendant had taken in the victim and allowed her to live at their residence sometime around February 14th. On around 2:20, the defendant and co-defendant thought the victim might have stolen a piece of jewelry and began to torture by beating her repeatedly. The victim sustained visible injuries, and based on the statement of the 2 separate witnesses, the victim was held against her will through force and intimidation, constituting kidnapping under Florida law. And that looks the same for both him and Michelle. They got the same arrest affidavit. This one is for, this one's for the kidnapping. The other one I think was for the murder. And that's just the same thing, just an arrest affidavit. This one is for the this one's for possession of a controlled substance. So this one is when he was arrested, he got the charge, and it says the defendant having been taken into custody for domestic aggravated assault because obviously he was chasing her with the harpoon, and this was his co-defendant in this case with Miranda. He was chasing her. So when he got taken into custody for the domestic aggravated assault, he was found to be in possession of 13.3 grams of methadone in 2 small plastic baggies. One in his hand at the time of the arrest, weighing 10.7 G, and a second in his front right hip pocket, weighing 2.6 G. A field test was presumed positive. And then he also, this is the aggravated assault charge. It says that the defendant and the victim are in an on again, off again domestic relationship. After coming to the defendant's house and having intercourse, the defendant and victim were engaged in a verbal dispute in which the victim tried to leave and the defendant was trying to get her to get into a vehicle with him. The victim refused and began to walk off, and the defendant kept walking in front of her, attempting to block her path. The defendant then retrieved an air-powered .72 caliber harpoon gun and was standing in the front yard of the residence in a menacing manner, causing the victim to be placed in a well-founded fear for her life, fearing the defendant would fire the harpoon gun at her. So that's what it says on that arrest warrant about the aggravated assault. And then this one is the possession of the Mary Jane. It says the defendant, having been taken into custody for domestic aggravated assault, was found to be in possession of 1.5 G's of Mary Jane in his right front hip pocket. A field test was presumed positive. This one is for resisting an officer without violence. It says the defendant, having been challenged by multiple law enforcement officers investigating a domestic aggravated assault, willfully disregarded commands to exit the vehicle he was occupying and place his hands in the air. Upon exiting the vehicle, the defendant continued to ignore commands to keep his hands in the air and attempted to walk away multiple times before complying under the threat of force of being tased. So yeah, he made quite the show when he got arrested. Let's see. And then this is let's see, when was this? Did he get this charge now? Oh no, and this was another one in 2023. He actually was arrested for threatening communications to do bodily harm. So he actually was threatening someone. He said that he sent a text message to someone and said, "You went from having me want to help you to wanting to hurt you. I want to slap your eyes out of their sockets for that. You will force something that neither of us want to happen." This was texted to a victim after the defendant became upset that the victim refused to order them food after they had spent time together. Upon meeting with the victim, he appeared genuinely upset and afraid. The defendant knows where the victim lives, and they have been in a dating relationship for approximately 3 months. So they've been in a dating relationship for 3 months, and he sent that text to her, and that was back in 2023. So, I mean, it's not like he's new to all this. I mean, obviously this charge, but that's terrible. Okay, and then this is his co-defendant, Michelle, and obviously you can see here, this is her charges. I mean, she's got a laundry list as well. Let's see here. I mean, she's got all kinds of stuff on there. Let's see if I can go back to hers. She's got a sale or delivery of oxycodone, possession of oxycodone, dealing stolen property, possession of paraphernalia, cocaine, petty theft, possession of hydromorphone, scheme to defraud, dealing in stolen property, grand theft, obstructing an officer, dealing in stolen property, grand theft, petty theft, resisting a merchant, possession of cocaine, possession of paraphernalia, petty theft. I mean, she just got a whole list, y'all. I mean, she is definitely not new to it. Yeah, it's terrible. She's definitely not new to the criminal justice system. That's for sure. Is it paused? Here we go. Oh, I think that might have been the last one I put on there. Oh, no. And then she, of course, got the same, she got the same affidavits as he did. Same kind of thing. She got charged with kidnapping and murder in the first degree. So she did turn herself in after the news conference where the cop was like, hey, if you don't turn yourself in, like, we're going to find you. And they threatened anybody that would help her. They were like, anybody who helps her, we will charge you with whatever we can charge you with. So I think all her little friends were like, nah, we're good. Hers actually says that she held the victim for over 7 days and tortured her by repeatedly beating the victim and eventually putting the billiard ball and wrapping her with plastic wrap. And it also says the defendant and co-defendant felt the victim had stolen a ring, and then they dismembered the body. And they did this at her mother's house and then discarded the victim in a dumpster in Ruskin, Florida, which somebody in here said that was a little ways away from where they were. But they also did put a notice in for the death penalty for her as well. And also she's asking for, her lawyers are asking a motion to appoint a private investigator. So I noticed that in the court docs. So it says that the defendant moves to the honorable court for the appointment of Garrett Adams of Colleen Quinn Investigations and Mitigation. Grounds for this motion: the defendant's charged with murder in the first degree. The defendant's been determined by court to be indigent for cost, and that the undersigned counsel needs a private investigator to assist in the counsel for preparation for the trial, because she's they both said they were not guilty, so they're asking for his lawyer has not done this, but hers has. So Michelle Brands or Brandy's, they've already had, they already want a private investigator. So they've already been sending emails. They attach the emails and, we're asking for this they've already picked the person they want and everything. But yeah, they are seeking the death penalty for both of them. Such a sad case. And all over a dating app. And like I said, 6 people that knew about it. 6 people that obviously were coming in and out of that house. Lita, I was having a hard time, girl. I couldn't see it. I was trying to see it, girl. I'm getting old. I couldn't see that little shit. But yes, I need help. Will you come up here and read it for me? I'm not paying you though. But yes, it's such a sad case, and that she got lured there. And like I said, I'm sure he was sending pictures. One of them will take a plea deal. Dawn, I'm thinking that's probably one reason that they're wanting the private investigator, maybe. I don't know. Maybe she'll turn on him. I'm sure they're turning on each other at this point. He actually is who implicated her in this. So, which clearly he was pissed off at her too, because he was chasing her around the damn yard with a harpoon. So obviously he was already mad at her, but he's who implicated her even more in this. So he's definitely already turning on her, and he's saying it's her that did it. There was one person that was stated as saying that they felt that he hid the ring or did something with the ring and told her that the girl stole the ring just because he wanted them to fight or whatever, which is crazy as hell and so effed up. But hey, I mean, who knows what happened? I'm sure they were all on the Methiana, and who knows if there was even a ring to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know. And that's not an excuse at all. I'm just saying it's so sad because she leaves behind, an 11-month-old little girl, and she grew up with her parents were both deceased. And now her little girl, her grandmother's raising the little girl. Yes, we talked about that, Pamela. Prayers for everybody involved in the FSU, and also in the Dallas high school shooting that just happened. He probably sold it for, I don't know. Yeah, probably. Julie. I hope you're doing better, Julie. But yeah, such a tragedy. I appreciate everybody tuning in for True Crime Thursday, True Crime Tuesday on Thursday. I don't put nothing past anybody, but this case obviously is going to go forward. It's going to probably go to trial unless they get a plea. Unless, I'm sure, like somebody said, one person may take the plea if they offer a plea. Because here's the thing, they're both saying, hey, we're not guilty. They're both claiming not guilty. So it probably will go to trial. Of course, it'll take a while to get there, but I think more and more people are obviously going to come forward. And I feel like those 6 people, there's going to be surveillance video, because that ring camera that the landlord put up there to make that girl feel safer is going to have all of that stuff on there. They're already putting out little pieces here and there. So I'm sure that is one way that they were able to tell the 6 people. And that's another thing, Sarah. I think that those 6 people, I think some of them are bound to get charged with something. I feel like, how could you not do something? If you knew there was a young girl getting tortured over some ring or whatever, you're not going to call, like, I don't know. Did you find out Letitia? Letitia who? What are you talking about? Refresh my memory. Oh, Letitia, Letiti. No, I haven't seen anything else about it. With the way you spelled it, I was like, wait, who is that? Letitia, yes. No, I haven't found anything. I know she went to court on the 14th and the 16th. The 16th for the protection order, and the 14th for her charges, where she was, at the hospital acting crazy, I don't want to say crazy, acting a fool. But I haven't seen anything updated in the public system yet. Yeah, Zona, I'll be back in a little bit. I will be back in a little bit, probably about 11. We'll see. But yeah, most definitely. Probably about 11. I'm going to go ahead and set the reminder. And thank you guys all for tuning in. Yes, Amy. That's who it was. It just took me a minute. The way it was spelled out, it took me a second to be like, oh yeah, Letiti. Right, Mel. Yeah, it's sad. And they should get charged, Ashley. And I think they will. So I think more things are going to definitely come out about this. And I pray that, they are still looking for her, but it was alleged that she was taken apart. That's how I'll say it. She was taken apart and at this lady's mother's house and put into a dumpster. So they have been, I think, looking at landfills, but I don't know that they will ever find her, sadly, which is awful. But thank you guys so much for tuning in for True Crime Tuesday on Thursday. And I will see you next Tuesday. See you next Tuesday. I'm on the East Coast. So it's 10:09 here already. So yeah, 11 is like 50 minutes. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you so much. Can I do a story at the end with a happy ending? I can't tonight because I don't know one. But yeah, I could do that. Like add one at the end. Sure. That's actually a good idea. Thank you. That's a great idea. Just so it ends in a happy note. That's a good idea. Let me write it down. Okay, I wrote it down, damn it. Connie, come back fixing your makeup. We want to read the comments. Yeah, I'm on YouTube, but I'm getting ready to get off here. I did. Yeah, Julie, did I get your video? I'm trying to think. You sent it in the email? If it's in the email, then I'll look. But yeah, just text me. All right, y'all. I'll see you soon and see you next Tuesday. If you're a true crime junkie, I'll see you then. If you're coming back for the malarkey,